I wanted to wait until the end because I wanted to make sure that I heard everything that was said. It'll be quick, don't worry. It is, every vote on a bill, every budget vote is a challenge. We have to take into consideration everything that is in, that it is not. And this has been, as I said before, a challenging budget year. The bill before us has a bunch of stuff in it, kind of like a turducken. You've heard of that before, I'm sure. You take a small bird, you put it inside a bigger bird, and you put it inside a bigger bird, and sometimes you deep fry it. It sounds disgusting just thinking about it. But there are things in here that are important to point out. It is, although it's certainly not perfect, and nothing in this budget is, the congestion pricing scheme that we came up with, while again, certainly not perfect, does create a revenue stream for the MTA, which is absolutely necessary. 90 to 95% of the people in my district use a bus or a train every single day. It is necessary to make sure that if we're going to have the city run, that we have the public transportation system run effectively. There's much to do still, and I trust that my colleagues, both Senator Kennedy and Senator Comrie, will do their best to make sure that as we make this transition, it happens well. So that is a good thing. I do think that speedy trial and bail reform are absolutely necessary, and I would ask my colleagues who mentioned many of the resistance that they have to this change to consider and remember one of my former constituents, Khalif Browder. We've talked about him on this floor before. A young man of 16 who was arrested, charged with stealing a backpack, spent 3 years in Rikers Island, was ultimately left out of Rikers Island with charges dropped. He did because he had done nothing. And because of what he suffered in there, he ultimately committed suicide. And let us remember that the reason he was in Rikers Island was because he did not have the money to post bail, to leave Rikers Island. And there are many Khalif Browders still to this day that are in there. So I believe it is absolutely necessary, and my colleague, I trust that my colleagues that made the decision on what this package needs to look like did the right thing. I thank Senator Bailey, Senator Kaminsky, and others who were involved in making sure that this is the right thing. I want to just briefly talk about the Public Financing Commission. I will be quick, but I just think that this needs to be said for the record. I share many of the concerns that my colleagues have about this not being a real thing. And matter of fact, except for the fact that Senator Funke said that he did not support campaign finance, if you took me saying I support public finance and then you took everything else that you said, it would have basically been exactly the same thing. So I share your concerns about it, and I believe that this is not the end of it. We're certainly going to look at it very closely, because for those of us that believe that this is important and necessary, this is not a good thing. However, in balance, one has to make a decision, which is why we'll be voting for in the positive, in the affirmative for this piece of legislation, because there's a lot of things that should be in it, things that are in it give us move forward on certain ways, but we will have much more to say after we get this budget passed on all of these issues. Again, Mr. President, I'll be voting the affirmative. Thank you.